That's progress. Does that help? Can you guys hear me a little bit better out there? Or is it still sounds kind of quiet, but 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. All right.
All right. All right. Can you hear me? Are we live? Are we recording? All right, perfect. All right, I'm going to call this meeting of the Historic Architectural Review Board to order. A couple of things on this agenda. There is no consent agenda, so we're going to go ahead and scratch that item. The only thing we would like to add is, as your chair, the only thing we need to do is, since we do have new members, we have to make sure that you can re-elect your chair and vice chair. You can elect a new chair, new vice chair. That's the only thing I need to delete from this agenda item and add to the agenda item. So I would need a motion.
Motion to approve agenda revision.
I got a motion from Ms. Baker. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Woodcock. Is there any comments on the agenda? Any public comments on the Historic and Architectural Review agenda revision?
Where are you adding election votes?
Just added it to the agenda items. Sorry, Janine. Yeah, as number 2. Actually, we'll move it to number 1 just so we can get it, and then we'll. All right, so I have a motion, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimous. Joe, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you so much. You don't have to get angry at your purse.
It's too late.
All right, thank you very much. Public hearings and ordinance, we don't have any on the agenda. So we'll move on to the first part of the agenda. You can motion to re-elect your chairs as they are, or you can motion to elect a new chair. I'm the chair. I'm not going to motion myself. I'll be glad to take it.
I move to, can I make a motion?
Absolutely, Joe, go ahead.
I move to re-elect the 2 positions of the old chair.
Okay, so I have a motion to re-elect Naeem, and I believe,
Second.
and a second from Jessica. But
Jessica is the
you're the vice.
You're not the vice.
Who's the vice chair?
It was a previous member.
Oh, that's right. Gavin Johnson was the vice chair. So we do need to, I appreciate it. I can take the chair position if the motion passes. However, we do need to elect a new vice chair.
I believe we voted on them separately.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so my motion needs to be revised to re-elect the chair.
Okay. And
So I
who
move
would we
that.
elect as a vice chair?
She wants to do the motion.
Oh, you want to do it separately?
Separate motion. for
Okay.
that.
So I have a motion to re-elect Naeem as the chair. Ms. Baker, do you second his motion? All right, any comments on the motion? Any public comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so thank you very much for re-electing me as your chair. Appreciate that. Now we need to just elect a vice chair because our member Gavin Johnson is not part of the board. Sorry, this chair is a little wonky. Do we have a motion for a vice chair?
You always elect the guys not in the room.
I know, right?
You always what?
I move to elect Donald Long as vice chair.
Oh, great. All right, I actually, go ahead, Miss Linda.
Yes, I'm fine.
You second that?
Donald, right.
All right, so I got a motion from Miss Baker to elect member Long and a second from Miss Woodcock. Public comments? Any comments from us? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, we'll take it on to the National Historic Preservation Month, which Miss Jackson, our lovely city planner, will take us through that. Did you email me that copy?
All right, good evening. So my presentation tonight is to announce that May is National Historic Preservation Month. For those of you who are here tonight who don't know what historic preservation is, it is a tool oftentimes used in planning for managing change. It is utilized to identify, evaluate, and maintain all the historic structures and sites that exist in our communities around us. So there is a National Register of Historic Places, which is a list that is overseen by the National Park Service, but it is strictly an honorary list. There's no teeth, and anything on that list could be torn down without local legislation protecting it. So and all of these places can be significant at a local, state, or national level. They are typically 50 years old or older, and they are associated with either an important event, person, their design, or their ability to yield future information, or a combination of all of those. And something that, one reason why places would like to be on the National Register is because they make them eligible for federal grant money. There are 4 approaches to historic preservation for treating historic properties, and each one is an ascending level of interference or intervention, you might say. So preservation is the least amount of intervention. Then there's rehabilitation, which is the most common approach to historic properties, restoration, and then finally reconstruction. This was working so nicely earlier.
Have you tried turning it on and off?
Yes, you did that earlier. Sometimes, you just start spinning it around.
It's a little light on. I have to slide the batteries around.
You just put new ones in. Yeah, up there.
Oh, need me to take down?
Yes, please. Clicker stopped working.
And while we're working on that, folks, we are having some technical difficulties with the YouTube sound. So anyone
Oh, it's perfect.
on YouTube? Okay, maybe we got it fixed. Great. If we can't get it fixed, not like they could hear me tell that anyway, but.
So on this slide, I've discussed some of the different examples of historic preservation you can see around in Newberry. The first is that we are a CLG, which is another National Park Service program that is for municipalities who have agreed to commit to preserving their local history. We have a Newberry Main Street organization, which is a nonprofit through the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and they locally promote preservation-based economic development. We have one historic district here in Newberry. It is both locally designated and it's on the National Register of Historic Places. We have no locally designated landmarks yet, but that is something that hopefully I'll be able to bring before you guys here soon. And then the Little Red Schoolhouse is an example of a rehabilitated structure that was converted from a schoolhouse to offices. It was actually a dilapidated vacant building, but it was converted to offices in 1998 using grant funding. Next, Jenny. Thank you. So this month, the month of May, is the National Month for Historic Preservation, and they've been having these National Months for Historic Preservation since 1973, thanks to Richard Nixon, who signed it into law, and it is a full month long, and let's see. This year's theme is People Saving Places, but the Florida Division of Historical Resources has announced another theme as well, which is Caring for Historic Cemeteries. And so the kind of call to action from the Florida Division of Historical Resources this year is to fill out a form they have. Next slide, please. If you're interested and want to get involved, there is a historic cemetery inventory that they are trying to work on. There's just an online form at that link. If you would like it, you can reach out to me and I can email it to you. You can also request physical forms to mail in, but essentially they believe that only about a quarter of historic cemeteries within the state of Florida are recorded. And so there's this really simple form that they would like people to just go around and fill out, so hopefully that we can inventory some more of these historic cemeteries that are all around the state. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
All right. No,
Okay, that's it.
thank you. You always do a wonderful job, so thank you so much for what you do for us.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to topics for members' discussion. Before that, I would like to take a moment, and sorry I didn't do this earlier, but I would like to welcome the new members to our board. It's great to see more involvement and different people on the board. So, Joe, sorry man, you're a veteran now. I mean, you've been here for a year, so doesn't count. So, without further ado, go ahead. If you have a comment or anything, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Melina Parker. I'm born and raised in the Gainesville, Newberry, Archer area, and we now live here permanently. So
Thank you, Ms. Parker. I'm glad to have you.
glad to be here.
Ms. Baker has no comments? None? All right.
Good evening. My name is Ann Polo. I am a 2-year resident of Newberry. My family loves it here, and I'm very glad to be a part of the community.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. Joe, do you have anything? No, all right, Mr. Mayor. All right, I have nothing for this meeting, and with that being said, the meeting's adjourned. Huh? Oh, staff. Sorry. No. Backspace delete. Meeting's not adjourned. Yep. Rewind.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to ask the Historic Architectural Review Board if they would be available, if we could have have enough members present to make a quorum on the 16th, a second meeting on the 16th
Of May.
of May.
Man, you're cutting it close, Brian. Can you let the board know the purpose of that meeting?
Originally, I was going to request a special meeting for the Planning and Zoning Board only, but we actually have an application for HARB that is asking us to try to get it on in front of the Historic Architectural Review Board as soon as possible. Since the Planning and Zoning Board most likely was already going to meet, I was going to ask if the HARB would be willing to meet as well to handle that item.
All right, thank you. With that being said, I guess we'll take a roll here. Ms. Parker, are you okay with meeting on May 16th?
Yes.
Okay, I got a yes. I have a yes from Ms. Baker. May the 16th. While you look at that, Ms. Polo?
I want to share that that's my birthday, so I will be expecting a cake. But yes, I will be I'll be available.
This man is department.
I will say right now, you are sitting next to the best baker in all of Newberry, Ms. Woodcock.
Thank you, I'll take it down. Is this a HARB on the 16th?
It sounds like it's going to be a HARB and a P&Z special meeting. I think there's just one agenda item, if I'm not mistaken.
For the Historic Architectural Review Board, yes,
Okay.
a single item.
Okay, I'm not understanding. It's a P&Z meeting or a HARB meeting, or it's a combination? And if it's a combination, why?
I was going to request a special meeting for the Planning and Zoning Board so that we could review the first draft of the overlay district criteria that's being presented, as well as the language to define the small rural subdivisions that we recently saw the one of, and we have other applications pending. And so that would be the PZ, but in the interim days, we also received a application for the HARB that they've asked us to accelerate if possible. So if the Planning and Zoning Board was already going to meet on that day, I was asking that the HARB also meet on that day.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, I have it on my calendar. That's the best I can do.
The P&Z meeting, Ray said to talk about a rural.
The overlay, primarily the overlay district, but we also intend to have the draft language for review for the rural subdivisions.
For a new ordinance.
For a new ordinance for the rural subdivisions, yes.
Okay. I can be there on May 16th. I've jotted it on my calendar. Joe, how's
I've got a conflict.
Okay.
About this, but I'm going to review the material and I will email my response, but I'm not physically.
Okay. But it sounds like you'll have at minimum 5 members.
Are we still talking 6 PM?
6 p.m., yes.
Okay.
All right. Give me 1 second since Member Long is here. I would like to confirm with him if that's okay too, and then that way we at least know for sure you have a quorum for the harp. How are you? No, it's all good. Congratulations, by the way. You've been elected as vice chair of the.
You to be late.
Yeah, that's what happens. You're not here to defend yourself, man. And your first agenda item is there's now a special meeting on May 16th for the HARB and the PNZ, but we're voting on, well, not voting on, we're seeing if you would be available May 16th to come in on that Monday at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. So from the sounds of it, Joe, if you're okay, just you'll have your quorum.
You're just taking my availability for granted.
You're always available. You are the public servant of Newberry. Deal with it. No, are you gonna be able?
I'm always here, yeah.
Okay. I mean, you have a cot in the back. All right. So yes, Brian, we're good. Since I don't want to skip anybody, Mr. Attorney, do you have any comments for the HARP? All right, I learned my lesson not to skip and hit the gavel. With that being said, meeting's adjourned, and we will reconvene in 2 minutes for the PNZ.
Still good on YouTube.
Hey,
I
Joe.
just was talking to Monty Barnesworth. I think that my dad, either my dad and your dad, they shared farm equipment. Your Lyman Law. Your sister's granddaddy, yeah, lived out towards Gainesville on the left. Yeah, I used to have to go out there sometimes to pick up equipment or return equipment, or they borrowed stuff all the time.
Now, if you
My
guys
dad
want to
was
take that
Dick
chair out and
Hodge.
give yourself some elbow room.
Yeah, my dad was Dick Hodge. Yeah, we lived right there, well, it's a curve then, but we lived just right outside of town then.
Tell her now you can start to come back.
But they were buddies. Yeah, no telephones. No, you had to go. They'd say, go get such and such.
What's that?
Oh, I should.
This is
All right, here we go.
first meeting.
I'm sorry.
Is that quite a night for your first meeting?
Apparently.
All right.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hourly. Hold on, I'm trying to hire somebody too.
Just enough time to come home and let my dogs out.
Trying to get somebody to come work for
Getting
me.
healed as soon as I wish.
All right, Janine, are you good? Hey, can I move the voting to the commission? Okay. All right, if we're ready, heading on. All right, perfect. All right, I'm gonna call this meeting to order of the City of Newberry Planning and Zoning Board, May 2nd. See, I did it soft. Okay, I'm not some other. Some animal. All right, a couple of things on the agenda that need to be changed, just like the HARB. We're gonna remove the consent agenda of the Planning and Zoning Board meeting, since that was not distributed, so we can't vote on that. I'm gonna scratch that, but I am gonna go ahead and similarly to the HARB, we would have to either elect or re-elect your chair. Our vice chair, Gavin, is no longer part of the board. We do have Miss Polo that has taken a new role here, and we appreciate her being here. So I am adding that to the consent agenda, voting a new chair. And another motion would be to vote for a vice chair. And I believe That's it. All the other nice red inks are to let you know the Board of Adjustments.
You're not adding it to the consent agenda.
Huh?
So you're not adding it to the consent agenda.
No, I'm just adding it before in that space, yeah.
Two item numbers.
So do I have a motion to change the agenda as,
Motion to approve the agenda with revision.
I got a motion from Ms. Baker.
I second that motion.
I got a second from Member Long. Do we have any comments on the agenda? Public comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so we'll move on to, do we have a motion for a new chair to re-elect a chair?
Motion to elect Naeem Urchet as chair.
All right, I got a motion to elect Naeem as chair.
I'll second.
I got a second from Ms. Woodcock. Do we have any comments on that? Public comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And now we'll move on to a vice chair.
So it's less fun now that he's shown up, but I move to elect, yes,
Can you walk away real quick?
Board Member Long as vice chair.
All right, I got a motion from Ms. Baker for Member Long to be vice chair,
I'll second.
and I got a second from Ms. Woodcock. All right, do I have any comments on that? No, at this point, I think you're outnumbered, bud. Any public comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion passes unanimous. All right, and with that, we will be moving on to public hearings and ordinances. Oh, I need my quasi judicial cheat sheet. Thank you. All right, so good thing, oh, yep, this is a quasi judicial hearing. I'll explain this real quick, the procedures. When we move into quasi judicial, since there's a lot of people at this meeting, the dais turns from a legislative body to a judicial body. So we are basically like a panel of judges. We are going to listen to facts. We do greatly appreciate when a public comment comes up. Your opinions are going to be heard. However, if you do have any facts, we do want to hear those facts, because just like a judicial system, the evidence needs to be factually driven. With that being said, there's certain procedures that take place. So the first thing is the city attorney or the chair will read into the record the ordinance, resolution by title and number. The city attorney will go ahead and explain any kind of testimony rules. And I'll explain all public testimonies will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited to experts. Closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record. The city attorney can go ahead and explain the procedure and order of presentations. The applicant and staff and all participants requesting to speak may be collectively sworn in, which I believe Janine will go ahead after I'm reading this, will swear anybody that's gonna have a chance to speak or wants to speak. Please swear in with Janine when we do it collectively. The board will disclose any ex parte communications and disclose whether any member physically inspected the property. And then we'll go through the presentation where the staff will give their overview. The applicant will go ahead and will present their application with no time limit. The staff report and recommendations will have no time limit. I haven't been contacted by any third-party interveners, mayor, city, nobody. So there is no third-party interveners today. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Then the applicant may cross-examine, the staff may cross-examine, members of the decision-making body through the chair may ask questions of the staff, applicant, party intervener, and the participants. A final argument may be made by the applicant. Staff related solely to the evidence and testimony presented. The city attorney will then advise the decision-making body as to applicable law and factual findings that must be made to approve or deny the application. Then we will deliberate, and after deliberation, a vote shall be taken to approve with conditions, continue or deny the application. We do have a full board. And with that being said, I believe, Janine, if you are going to testify today, I ask you to stand up. and Janine will collectively swear everybody in. Is that? Or if you're planning on giving a public comment,
Brian, somebody turn that mic off. Can you? Which one? That one. This one. Turn it
well, in the
off.
quasi
I
judicial.
said, don't turn it off during the meeting.
Must have missed that part.
Okay, if you're gonna testify on anything in this agenda, if you think you might want to stand up and speak, even if you're not sure, go ahead and swear in now. All right. Hold up your right hand and say, repeat after me, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And your name?
Brian Thomas.
And your name?
Mike Nude, John Paul Perez.
Jackson.
Tony Birch.
Tony Birch. Can you spell your last name?
B-U-R-C-H.
Okay, got it.
Chris Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Peter McDaniel.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Goodson.
Mhm.
Stuart Hill.
Mhm.
Paul State.
Uh-huh.
Del Hall.
Uh-huh.
Vincent Spark.
Vincent Spark.
Anna Carter. Anna Carter.
Two N's.
Carl
Is that everyone who thinks they might speak? Yeah, I got Joe Hopkins. I got Joe Hopkins. Yeah.
All right, so with that being said, just to make everybody aware, if somebody new walks in, we would have to swear them in as well and read through the procedures one more time. All right. So I will now ask the attorney to read into the record the ordinance, if you may.
Mr. Chair, this is Resolution 2022-14 SDP 22-06, a resolution of the City Commission serving as the Board of Adjustment for the City of Newberry, Florida, approving an application for site and development plan approval for construction of a 62,659 square foot shopping plaza and associated site plan and development in a commercial automotive district pursuant to Section 14.12 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations located at 101 Northwest 242 Street on approximately 9.37 acres within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. Tax parcel number is 01932-001-000, repealing all resolutions in conflict, providing an effective date. The appropriate motion at the appropriate time, Mr. Chair, will be to pass the resolution as read by title only.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir.
All right, at this moment in time, I would like to ask if we've had any ex parte communications. Mr. Long? Ms. Baker? None. None. I have had none. None from the mayor. All right, staff? You're free to present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is Site Development Plan Application 22-06, Resolution 2022-14. It's for site development plan of a grocery store and associated outbuilding parcels. The request is being made by Kimley Horn and Associates, which is acting as the agent for the purchaser, which is CHI Newberry LLC. As stated previously, it's about 62,659 square foot in total. First building is roughly 54,000, call it 55,000 square feet. The second building would be about 700 square feet. The plan presented includes the parking, stormwater, utilities configurations, and the subject parcel is located on the north side of Newberry Road, east of 235 and south of Newberry Lane. There's a map depicting the general location. And then the depiction of the actual site plan itself. As you can see, you have the main building and then the accessory building.
It's not going to pull up. People can't hear you.
Okay. I'm not usually told to talk louder. I'm usually told to be quiet. And as you can see, the associated parking that goes with it. And then the southern end of the property consists of additional parking and stormwater basin. The landscaping plan, it's actually a very thorough landscaping plan, has a considerable amount of landscaping included, well beyond our current standards, and staff has reviewed the landscaping plan in relation to the as yet draft form only overlay district landscaping requirements, and finds it to be to either meet or exceed what we believe those will ultimately end up being. Just a blow up of what you're looking at there because it's hard to see. Each of those little bubbles depicts a specific type of species of plant that's going to be planted, and it's hard to see there, and I don't think the laser is going to point it out, but no, it's blended into the screen. But they have ground coverings as well as some shorter understory, shrubberies, and then the larger circles are depicting trees that after a few years grow up to be of adequate height. Same with the basin down at the southern end. There's going to be landscaping all around the perimeter of that. It looks like also they've tried to save as many of the perimeter trees as possible on the site there, because the darker circles are existing trees. So they are saving what's possible to save. Staff finds the application to meet the land development regulations relative to site plan. They have the requisite zoning and land use for the development, and so with that, staff's recommendation is to approve application SDP 22-6. There is one condition that staff is recommending. You might have noticed in your packets that we had the DART development application review team comments. Normally, you would also be provided with the response to those comments. Because the applicants are dealing with multiple jurisdictions, they're dealing with the City of Newberry, but they're also dealing with the Florida Department of Transportation and the county in terms of road access and other issues. They were not able to provide that yet. I believe it's coming in probably tomorrow is the last word, but early this week. And so the staff's recommendation is that you condition your recommendation for approval to the Board of Adjustment on receiving those comments and working out with staff prior to it going to the Board of Adjustment. And with that, I don't know if the applicant has any materials they wanted. I believe they had some handouts maybe available. I don't believe they didn't bring a PowerPoint or anything. So.
Yeah, Brian, we do have a PowerPoint we can use, but we do have handouts as well.
Okay.
Hey, Brian. So once again, staff is recommending approval with the condition of the comments being received.
That it doesn't move forward until the comments are received and the anything relative to those comments is worked out with staff prior to being moved to the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I'll ask the staff, did the applicant say he had handouts? Is that correct? Did the applicant, did you want to come up and just state your name for the record here, and that's okay, and you can, at this point, you can hand out. Thank you.
Britt Goodson with Carolina Holdings out of Greenville, South Carolina. We are the developer for this project. And I do have handouts, and I think one that might be beneficial is the site plan on one page instead of two. So if y'all would like, I can start with the board and hand those out, and anybody in the audience I can do as well. So
I'll hand those out for you.
Thank you.
And then I'm available for any questions you might have.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brian. All right. With that being said, at this moment in time, while we take a look at what was presented to us, I'd like to take advantage in here if there's any public comments on the matter. with that being said, there's no public comments. At this time, if there's anything you want to cross-examine with the staff, you can do so now. If you saw something or want to say anything, now's your chance to cross-examine if you wish. You can give me a head nod or.
No, I think we're good. I think Brian did a great job presenting the project.
All right, so thank you very much. Yes, our staff does a pretty exceptional job trying to make sure everything runs smoothly before it gets to the board here. So, staff, did you have any other cross-examinations? What we've received, any changes?
No, sir.
All right, hearing none. Members of the decision-making body, now's our chance to ask questions to the applicant through the chair. If you've had a chance to go ahead and look at all this. Feel free. You can ask questions through the chair.
My only questions will come at the time where we have the results from the DART. I'd be curious to hear about the road, the access, when that time presents itself. Other than that, I have no questions.
Speaking on the roads real quick, Brian, FDOT their main concern is the corridor on Newberry Road. And if I'm not mistaken, it would also be on the west side of the location. Is that considered an FDOT state road?
That's a county road, actually.
That's a county road.
County Road 235.
Are we
yes.
waiting on anything from the county on that road?
Yes, that's part of what the applicant was waiting for, was word from the county on where the placement of the ingress and egress point would be and any other considerations the county might require.
So it's the county we're waiting on, not FDOT, or we're waiting on both?
I believe they're also working on some final issues with FDOT as well.
Okay. Now, I see there is one access road on Newberry Lane. I take it everything's on the clear from the city because that's a city road, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the city does have jurisdiction over that road, and the plans for that road are fine. They meet the city requirements.
All right. Do we have any other members that want to make comments, questions?
I just have a really quick comment in that you mentioned, Brian, that the developer intends to leave as many trees as possible. That's a huge oak area there, the older oaks. And that makes me feel comfortable that maybe everything on the whole triangle won't be destroyed in order to put a building up. And I appreciate the thought going into that, and you're watching out for that. That would be good. And the landscaping, the idea of a developer coming in and having a plan that includes landscaping is good. I appreciate it.
Ms. Baker, if I get the silent treatment from you 2 meetings in a row, I'm going to lose my mind.
The questions that I had have already been asked, so.
Oh, wow.
No.
Okay. I want to second on the whole Linda comment on the tree. As I'm looking at this, the plant schedule of the south, I see how there's one huge existing tree to remain. So we do appreciate you trying to keep what you can of what's there. And if I'm not mistaken, I've seen quite a few of these grocery stores in my lifetime, and I will like to say how I do enjoy that the parking lot is quite shaded most of the time because of all the shrubberies and the trees, and it's not just a giant heat pad of a parking lot. So, and it's a nice view when you're driving by that it's not just a giant box store and flat asphalt. So I do appreciate all this vegetation and trying to keep the greenery in the Newberry corridors.
Mr. Chair, one other statement, and who is the contractor? Who was it? Is it, you are, yeah, okay, the developer. And I'm bringing this up as historical information for you mostly, but I grew up in that area as a child, and that was a phosphate mine. And of course, it's been filled in and everything, but in the bottom of the phosphate mine was a beautiful, what we called a lake. And there are many people my age or maybe a little younger, my daughter for one, that was a hangout for teenagers there, one of their hangouts. Maybe not the safest one. But that I don't know if I can find pictures or anything. If I can, I'll share them with you. But it's another part of the history of the community that I hope you don't mind me breaking in here and sharing something that's immaterial, basically. But there you go.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It's a nice piece of property. The problem with that one is what you can't see below the surface. So that's what we're dealing with there.
Yeah, I wondered about that too.
All right. That's it for members. For questions, final argument may be made at this point from either the staff or applicant. No. City Attorney, can you advise the decision-making body as to applicable law and factual findings?
Substantial and competent evidence, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right. Any deliberations? If I don't hear any deliberations, I will gladly take a motion and there.
What are our recommendations?
We can, from staff, they're recommending approval with conditions, contingent with comments being received and being discussed with staff before moving to the Board of Adjustments.
Okay, can I?
You want a motion as?
I can motion that.
Okay.
Right, yes,
What-
I can.
I got a motion to approve with the conditions as staff requested with comments being received and being discussed with staff before moving to the Board of Adjustments.
I'll second that.
I have a second from Member Long. So I got a motion from Ms. Woodcock, a second from Member Long. Any comments from the board? Any public comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. All right, and that will go before the Board of Adjustment. If the comments are in time, we'll go before the Board of Adjustments on 5/9. All right, we're still in quasi judicial. We are moving on to item number 3. The city attorney, if you can read into the
Yes, sir,
record.
Mr. Chair. This is Resolution 2022-07, SDP 22-01, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving an application for site and development plan approval for the construction of 300 RV sites and 14,430 square feet of related amenities in an agriculturally zoned zoning district and associated site development pursuant to Section 14.12 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations located at 1912 Northwest State Road, number 45, on approximately 44.96 acres within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. Parcel number is 01879-002-000. Repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass resolution number 2022-07 upon its reading by title only.
All right, thank you very much, City Attorney. At this moment, I would like to ask my board if we've had any ex parte communications. I've had some communication with the applicant. Basically, it was just going over just him telling me the design, but nothing to sway my judicial view on this. It's pretty much what's been presented to the city. No. All right, staff, will you go ahead and present for us, please?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. As stated, this is for approval of a site and development plan for Phase 1 of Treehouse Village RV Resort. As most of you remember, last year, the Planning and Zoning Board, as well as the Board of Adjustment, approved the special exception for Treehouse Village RV Resort. At the time, approved up to 850 units in total. This is for Phase 1. Phase 1 will consist of approximately 300 sites on about 45 acres. It also will have over 14,000 square foot of amenities in the form of a clubhouse, a welcome center, resort, store, laundry, bathhouse amenities, et cetera. The plans before you also include the associated site development for parking, stormwater and utilities. It will be on City of Newberry water and wastewater. And it's located on the west side of State Road 45, directly across from Avalon Woods and slightly northwest of the Easton Newberry Sports Complex. There's a map depicting the location relative to the other facilities. Here's a picture of the overall site plan for Phase 1. A little bit of a blow up there, give you a little bit better scale. And then, this is a blow up of the entranceway off of State Road 45. You can see the lanes where the RVs will come in and go into the Welcome Center for registration. To the northwest there, you've got the dumping station. That's where they dump their tanks. Then you've got the primary area for the amenity center, which consists of the clubhouse and a pool and gathering areas. It looks like pickleball court is one of them. And then the stormwater facilities for that vicinity. Here is the blow up of the westernmost part of the property. Again, a lot more units. The open area there in the center is where the big cluster of trees is located. On the north side of that circle, which is blown up here, this is where what they call the park model units will be. If you remember from the special exception approval, they're allowed to do up to 10% of the models as park models. Park models consist of either RVs that are going to be that'll be owned and maintained by the operator and rented out, or it could be small cottage type units, again owned and operated by the owner of the RV park. Here with the landscaping, you can see the large cluster of trees that's going to remain, that's being preserved. You can also see along the perimeter of the property where there's an opportunity to save the existing trees on the perimeter they have, and they're augmenting certain areas that don't have much in the way of trees to maintain their landscaping buffer requirement. Going back to the east again towards State Road 45, same thing along the perimeter of the property. You can see where it surrounds the existing two existing residences to the east. They've increased their landscaping buffer there as well. Just some general elevations of the buildings that they're intending for Phase 1. Shop and laundry, gatehouse. So staff's recommendation is to recommend to the Board of Adjustment approval of Resolution 2022-07 and approving application SDP 22-01.
Thank you, Brian. At this moment, the applicant, you can present if you have a presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. My name is Chris Potts. I'm the Director of Engineering for JB Pro, agent for the applicant. We do not have a presentation, but we're here to answer any questions that the board may have.
All right, thank you. All right, no third-party intervener at this time or has contacted. With that being said, we'll move on to public comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. And just a reminder, this is the site plan approval, correct? So the owners of the park have already been approved to have the park. This is just approving the site plan that they've come to us with, like the buffers and all that great stuff. So I just want to clear the air. I've heard some comments of like, oh, well, they're approving this. It's already been approved. This is just a site plan. So when we discuss it, it's basically the actual site itself of how they're gonna put all the RVs and the clubhouse, whatnot. So with that being said, if there's any public comments? All right, hearing none. I take it the applicant, you don't have anything to cross-examine here. Staff, do you have any cross-examination? Perfect. All right. Members of the dais, if you have any comments, questions, you may ask through the chair to the staff, the applicant, if you wish.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure, I mean, I do remember when we met months ago, a year ago, however long it was on this project, that one of the concerns of the neighbors in the area was leaving a lot of trees on, I don't know, east, west, south, north, I don't know which border, but that the contractor, the developer had assured the people who were here, or assured us, that those trees that were a border between the neighbor's lot property and the RV park, that those trees would be left. Are we still on that? They're still going to do, you can tell tonight I'm on to trees, and that's a good thing anymore, but it happens. And I've questioned this when we started with this project, when we first started talking about it. One of my concerns was the long-term rentals or the long-term parking, that kind of thing, and how it might affect our schools or our community. And I've been assured that there won't be any long-term facilities. People will come and go, other than the motorhomes, I don't know what you call them, the RVs. They might be there for at least a year, is that correct? Or 2 years? There's no limit to how long they can park and stay there, correct?
Mr. Chair, that is correct.
And that was a real concern of mine. So I want that stated, that in our minutes or whatever, that, and Brian, that the length of time, that there's no beginning or end. You can come and park there and live there forever if you want to.
And Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure we remember, all that's on the dais tonight is the site plan. So we've had those conversations, and people have said what they feel, and the commission has said what they feel, but that is not what's in front of us on the site plan tonight.
Mr. Chair, if I may, for the trees, as a requirement of the RV park, we have to have a 25-foot perimeter buffer around the development. Mm-hmm. And so all the trees that are along or within the 25-foot of the perimeter will be maintained. In addition, they have to plant the landscape buffer, as well as it will have a privacy fence along the perimeter as well. So it'll be heavily buffered from neighboring properties.
Thank you.
As regard to the stay, the intention of the RV resort is to target those national RV participants who like to go to different parks and stay for a week or two and then travel on to another park. There may be an occasion where some of the local contractors may stay there for a little bit longer, but then when their job is finished, they will move on to following the next stop. In addition, the residents will not be able to get a mailing address at the RV resort, so there won't be the ability to enroll your child into school or anything like that. So that should hopefully satisfy some of the concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you. That certainly does, because I know that was quite a bit of a concern on the last meeting, and I'm very happy to hear that you guys have taken into consideration our concerns and the diocese's concerns. I also want to applaud you on the fact of the buffering. As I'm looking at this map and seeing the amount of trees that are currently there, the amount of vegetation and trees that you guys are planning on even adding, leads me to believe that you are trying to be a good neighbor, and understand that, you know, there are residents that want to keep that green space. They don't want to see, even if it's a multi-million-dollar RV, they don't want to see it when they look out their window. And from the looks of this, it's going to be very difficult to see anything. Actually, I think you're going to enhance the surrounding area with all the vegetation from what I can see on this map. So thank you to you and the applicant for taking that into consideration. My only question is for staff. With the site plan being as it is and pretty much having an idea of how much is going to be running through there, I mean, it's pretty much, we're looking to put power and for like a small subdivision pretty much. Is our utilities up to speed and willing to handle that capacity?
Mr. Chair, Utilities has determined that those utilities that will be City of Newberry have capacity for this. I believe electric is actually through electric services through a different provider.
Okay.
But they've been in contact with them as well.
It's Clay.
Clay Electric.
So Clay, my only concern is just seeing, you know, I could see this being a really good thing and having multiple during like a peak month. Just want to make sure that all of a sudden the Facebook forums aren't going nuts because all of a sudden there's a surge in the system.
Mr. Chair, yes, we are coordinating with Clay Electric, and Clay Electric does have capacity to serve the RV park.
Okay.
And they're looking to bring three-phase power down to the park.
Okay.
So it will be looped as well.
All right, thank you. I believe that was an appropriate question for the, all right, thank you. All right, let me just out of respect to the dais, does anybody else, any members of the dais have any concerns, questions on the actual plan itself?
Mr. Chair, I have one question, and it may be because I haven't seen the full set of documents for this. Are there any plans in place for, is there going to be a traffic light? How are these big giant rigs getting in and out without stopping traffic on that already busy road?
Does the applicant want to take that one, or?
Mr. Chair, we are coordinating with FDOT and permitting the entrance and roadway improvements with FDOT. So there'll be turn lanes added from both the southbound direction and northbound direction. So whenever these RVs are pulling into the property, they'll actually be off the travel lanes in some form or fashion of the turn lanes. We've coordinated with DOT, and unfortunately, a traffic signal is not warranted. It doesn't mean in the future it may not. It could be if other developments come around, but at the current moment, it's not warranted.
Thank you. My concern with that was the if this is just phase one and the additional phases come in, will that change at that time? And I guess that's, you know, I'm not asking you to tell me in the future, but.
Mr. Chair, as coordinating with DOT, we have to look at the build out of the development. So the roadway improvements that we're setting up now are to handle all future phases. But unfortunately, the future phases still do not warrant a traffic signal.
Thank you.
With the traffic signal, if you don't mind real quick, if something came up that FDOT says, hey, you know what, there is an influx of traffic, we're going to want a traffic signal there. Is that something that FDOT will come up with the cost? Is that something that the applicant has come to an agreement saying, hey, if we ever need a traffic light, we already have that in the budget to give to FDOT? Who would take on who would absorb that?
It depends on, Mr. Chair, when that is warranted. Say if it's 15 or 20 years from now and the development is built out, then DOT will install the traffic signal. But if it comes up during one of the next phases of development, then the developer will have to chip in for the traffic signal.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other questions for the applicant or staff? All right, Mr. Mayor, I know you have a heart full of questions.
Actually, I wanted to reiterate my gratitude for the increased landscaping, the trees and the bushes and the privacy fence. On 27, when will the trees be of a height that it will virtually block the view? Are we going in with, what are the size of the trees that we're going in with to begin with, and what's their growth rate? At some point, I know that it's, besides for the entranceway, this is going to be a hard thing to spot from the road. How long is that going to take?
I am not Mr. Chair, I'm not a landscape architect. However, there are 3-gallon trees, which are about 4 inches or so in diameter. I would say it would probably take them about 10 years to get to the height that you're hoping for. And then, many years, there'll be the larger oak trees that you see down 27 on the east side.
Okay, and this question would then be for staff. In the overlay district, would the applicant not be required to put in larger trees along 27 at the beginning to cut that time down?
Mr. Chair, I'm not completely sure on that. I think that there has been some discussion, and that's one of the issues that needs to be resolved at the direction of ultimately the commission. The size of the trees, but there's definitely been some discussion on what is the appropriate size to require. As it is right now, our code requires that trees within, I think it's 5 years, grow to a certain height, but it's not full-grown height. It's
sure. But the applicant is aware of the overlay district, has agreed to meet the overlay district. We don't have that issue. My second question would be, and it may just because this is relatively new that we're looking at it, and I may just miss it, but the developer agreed to do dark light, dark sky lighting. Is that in the plan and I just don't know how to read that, or?
Mr. Chair, we're actually not proposing any streetlights through the development. The amenity areas will have dark sky lighting for safety reasons, but the intention is that just like the neighbors, residents of the RV resort
want to see the sky.
Want to see the sky,
okay.
Correct.
But where applicable, it will be dark sky.
Correct.
And that's in the plans, Brian? I just missed it. I just don't know how to read that yet. Y'all will teach me how to do that later.
It's I believe it's in the developer's agreement.
Okay.
Or the condition for the special exception, rather.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going back, just one more on the tree lady tonight. We're talking about oaks, right?
Yes.
Or magnolias or bushy trees that grow tall and big and bushy and not long skinny trees,
I'm
right?
going to request that he does one palm tree.
No.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So the code requires a variety of canopy trees, which are the large oak trees that you see, as well as understory and ground cover. So there'll be a level of bushes and bigger trees to create a oscillating effect of the landscape.
There's a reason I asked that. There.
I have a palm tree in the front of my house, and I'm seriously thinking that the reason I haven't won Garden of the Month is because I have a palm tree in the front of my house. All right, so do we have any other comments from the dais? All right, hearing none. Any final arguments? No? All right, with that being said, City Attorney, will you advise the decision-making body of the applicable law and factual findings, please?
Mr. Chair, it'll be the same standard throughout these proceedings. It's substantial and competent evidence. What that means is you, as the board members, have to make your decisions tonight based upon the facts that have been adduced through the testimony at the podium. And any opinion testimony is limited to experts, such as our land planners who have certifications and advanced degrees to provide opinion testimony.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, with that being said, deliberation from our board. If I don't hear a deliberation, I will entertain a motion.
I move the motion.
All right, motion to approve from member Long. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Baker. Do we have any comments on the motion? Hearing none, any public comments on the motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Aye. With that being said, we'll move on to our fourth quasi judicial, which is, I'll let the city attorney read that into our ordinance.
Sir. Mr. Chair, this is a resolution number 2022-11, a resolution of the City Commission serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City Commission, Florida, considering the application for special exception within the Agricultural A zoning district as authorized under Section 4.4.5 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations to allow a zipline park and off-site storage on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. Parcel identification number is 01861-001-000, consisting of approximately 59.75 acres, providing for a repealer and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass resolution number 2022-11 as read by title only.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Before I move on to ex parte, I just wanted to backtrack a second here. The previous ordinance will go to the Board of Adjustments on 6/13, just to have that on the record. All right, any ex parte communications on the on Zipline? No, and I have none. With that being said, staff, go ahead. Hey, JP.
Good afternoon. Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Planning and Zoning Board. My name is John Paul Perez with the Planning and Zoning Department. Planning and Economic Development. The request before you tonight is a special exception. This is to establish the zipline use. Zipline or the use is necessarily recreational tourism in an agricultural district, and so because it's not an agricultural use, it requires your judgment to make that approval. The recommended action from staff is to recommend to the Board of Adjustment to approve the resolution with conditions provided in the agenda summary and in the draft resolution. The applicant is Spain Development. They're acting as agent for the owner. The owner is Salmi, the Salmi family. And the property is approximately 59.75 acres. It's on the east side of Northwest County Road 235. It's about a half mile south of the intersection of 235 and Northwest 46th Avenue by Argos, if you're familiar with that area. The conceptual plan consists of 9 towers. These are 9 towers for a zipline course they're proposing for the site, and we'll get into the location and the site plan in just a moment. And proposed on the site will be approximately 1,064 square feet of like actual building space. That building space will be an operational office, concession stand, bathrooms. Also improvements on the site include parking for visitors and staff. So this is the subject property. In blue, in red, I've identified the access road. They'll be crossing another site to get to this site. This road today is an unimproved road. I've been told it's chip seal currently. The plan is to improve it, to pave it through the adjacent property into this site. We have a condition in the a recommendation to make sure they secure a lawful form of easement across that property. This is the conceptual plan. Again, tonight we're not approving any sort of plan, we're just approving the use. Here you can see, and it's pretty small because it's such a large site, but they have protective fences. The actual towers identified by black rectangles. The lines are the actual zipline courses that go over the water feature there, the pit. There's a beach area, and again, some offices and some parking. There is a fence around the water area because there is a cliff there to prevent people from approaching it unless authorized to do so. In our review, we found it consistent with the land development regulations and the comprehensive plan, so we are recommending approval, again, with the caveat that there are several conditions attached to that. I have the conditions in the slide if you'd like me to go through them. Otherwise, I can leave it to you at this point.
So
There's about 20 total, if you'd like me to go. Yes, yes. And these are all results of meeting with the staff and the development review team.
all this is, this was all given to us prior, and it's all on the city's page, correct?
Yeah.
All right. I'm okay, but out of respect to my board, sorry, I didn't have the mic on. I'm okay, but out of respect to the board, if you want, we can go through those recommendations.
Okay.
No.
Everybody wave.
Well, yeah, we did read through them. And if anybody, that's here for this,
Yeah.
it was all made public, I believe. When was the date it was all made public?
Mr. Chair, it was advertised for a prior meeting and then postponed time certain to this meeting. So I'd have to look back at the schedule, and then also signage was placed out on the.
Well, I believe the
entrance
signage because I see Miss Janine out there putting out those.
Yeah. And then mail-outs were done to everybody within a 1,000-foot perimeter of the property.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, sorry. I do have one question on the conditions, if staff could go over it.
Well,
Or we can do it later, yeah.
I think, we're gonna ask when, this was just to see if we want him to read every single condition that was made out, what questions we can ask. So no, JP, you're safe from reading 20 paragraphs.
Just one point of clarification on one of the conditions.
Yes.
We were asking for them to provide.
Which condition?
This is going to be 11D with fire suppression.
Yes.
It was originally recorded that it would be water supply capability on site. The agent did contact me and stated that they would be bringing shuttling the water to the site should there be a need for any sort of fire relief. And I confirmed with Ben this morning as well that is the case, that they would not be requiring that water supply capability for fire services on site at this time. However, that is something, should they expand the use, will be revisited with the fire department.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't worry, I have some notes on these conditions, so.
Certainly.
All right, with that being said, if the applicant is present, we would like you to come forward, state your name for the record, and if you have a presentation, we would love to see it.
Can I click through it? Thank you. I'll start with, oh, there it is, it's up there. Okay. A little over 100 years ago, the Salmi family ancestors came here to Florida from Finland, and the property they settled on, they still own. And I'm proud to say that 3 of these family members, Carl, John, and Ann, are now partners in this project. And hopefully their heirs will someday be as interested in this wonderful piece of heaven as we are. You can see it's spectacular. I think it's the most beautiful thing around. A 27-acre lake located on a 60-acre limestone quarry parcel. Quarried from 1925 to 75, those limestone cliffs extend 40 feet out of the water and another 30 feet down at the base, and it's 55 feet deep in the center. Left to overgrow for 50 years, as only something in Florida really can. The end result is spectacular. We put together a large team of people to examine what the best and highest use for this site was. And after a substantial amount of research, we determined that a zipline park was the best possible thing to do. I'm the developer. I'm from Maryland. I've biked the U.S., I've biked Europe. I stole an idea from the state of Florida many years ago. You guys did Florida Prepaid College Trust first down here, and I made friends with a man who helped get it sponsored, and I brought it home to Maryland, and we got it enacted there, and we've had $8 billion put away, and we've put 250,000 students through school. So I'm very grateful to the state for that. I built office buildings, residential projects, master planning and public works in Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia. And down here, I did the Pink Flamingo Diner redevelopment in High Springs. We put a mini golf course out back, a children's park, college drive-through, an ice cream shop. I did a 17-unit rezone of agriculture acres in the city of Alachua. And of course, the 120-space RV park in Gilchrist County was my project with the Gopher Tortoise Preserve. Engineering, Gary Downson is our civil engineer. GSE is doing our geotechnical and structural engineering. That's Ken Hill, one of the owners, and Monrad 2 is our structural engineer. Hubbard Merrill, which is out of Flagstaff, Arizona, is an internationally renowned zipline design engineer, and they're doing all of our engineering. David Merrill, in fact, founder of that firm, is personally involved in this project, as is his right-hand assistant, Sabrina Ballard. Abbey Inc. has a full-service aerial park challenge course and zipline tour company. They're considered, again, one of the best in the nation. And they're the ones that will be doing the documentation for each ride and the training of our people, and they actually install the lines and test them. Traffic engineering is done by MPH Transportation Planning, Mike Henman. I'll go into that a little bit. This report's already finished. As you can see, I don't know if it's been submitted to you or not, but his conclusion was that the project would generate 11 peak hour trips. So very little additional impact on 235. And there's the distribution, and then finally, I think there's a conclusion in here. Roadway level of service, as you can see, 235 is already, it's got a substantial amount of additional capacity, and we barely add to it. And so minimal peak hour project turn volumes do not require a right or left-hand turn lane. And here's the actual layout. You can see there the quarry, and then there's the 235, and then, of course, Newberry. And this is the distribution of the peak hours. The peak hour trips, there's 11 of them, so you'd have, I think he's got 6 in and 5 out. This is the emergency and operations plan. This was developed in collaboration with your fire chief. Communication system, we're going to use two-way radios, and of course, if they come on site, make them available to them and assist them. Medical plan, I have at the city's request blocked off an area on site for a helicopter landing zone, which we won't allow anything on, and if they have to get somebody out of there by helicopter, we'll have that ready for them. fire suppression plan, this is what he was discussing earlier. Essentially, because the cliffs are 40 feet, the head pressure required to pump out of the quarry is too high. The highest that he can go with his rigid tubing is 20 feet. So, but he didn't think that was a problem with the size of our parking lot and the size of our building, which is very, very small, 864 square feet. He feels that he can handle any fire suppression on site with the capacity that's in the trucks. And Gatorback, which is right next door to us, has a 10,000 gallon tank. And furthermore, and we did discuss this, if indeed at some point in the future we did expand the plan to go down to the beach area, any fire suppression down there would be able to put the rigid hose in the water and pump out of the quarry, which obviously has a massive amount of water available. 20-foot paved roads requirement, 14-foot minimum length rescue boat, which I've agreed to with electric propulsion. Hazardous materials will, of course, not allow anything like that. We're going to have cameras, and those cameras will be linked to a centralized computer station, and we're going to have recording and compression technology as well as facial recognition. Facility access, sanitary plan, standard. Trash facilities, obviously you guys have a centralized contract in this town, which I will contract with. Bathrooms, we'll have one bathroom. We've had, it checked the ground for whether the sanitary plan will work there, and it does. It works really well. The only thing is, if we have a special event, we have more people, we would have to have porta potties. The main way people are going to get around on site is trails. So I've included our standards for trail construction, how wide, how high, how we're going to cut them, what our trail slopes are. In fact, there is that pink one there is our trail standards chart. So you can look at that and tell precisely how much slope we'll allow and how wide they'll have to be and so on and so forth. And we will maintain the trails to that standard. The local design and construction team will consist of Jennifer Langford with Sustainable Design. She's going to be our architect. And we're going to use ICM as our general contractor. Keith Lemon, he built the Pink Flamingo for me in High Springs. Boone Welding and Power Coating is a long-time, very famous firm in this area. They've been here since the 70s. In fact, one of their future owners is here tonight, and they're going to be building our towers and are involved in the plan. Infinite Solutions, which is another contracting company, will be doing all the inside work. Computer work will be done out of Copenhagen by Torbjørn Scheibefeld, one of the most, he's a genius, frankly. Land clearing was originally done by Josh and Wallace Martin. They may or may not be involved in the second phase of that. I don't know at this time. We did have some burns out on the site. These are the dates. We had a permit, so just so everybody knows. Special thanks to the Salmi family for their vision and their decision, rather than to sell this off and have it be mined or some other thing, to try something really amazing with it. Special thanks to the Collins family from Florida, who are investors in this project, the Carter family from Maryland, the Glant family from Florida, and the Klausner family also from Florida, all people that are owners, investors, and involved in this project. Our economic analysis, we believe that it's an economically viable plan because there's a zipline course in Ocala, which is successful and has remained so through the pandemic. And also because the site is just a few miles from Gainesville, which is a bigger city than Ocala. And furthermore, we have the University of Florida here, and we also have Santa Fe. But the big thing we have is Route 75. It's 1.5 million cars a month, and it's that traffic traveling down that road in combination with what's here should make this park economically viable right out of the gate. COVID-19 impact on us is severe. It has hurt tourism, as you can see here, badly. But I think that we're coming out of that, and it's time to invest and open up this kind of thing, and hopefully, we won't all die, and we can go forward. So our conclusion, zip line at Hale Quarry Adventure Park, we're expecting 90 riders a day. That's taking into account all this economic data, what's happened, et cetera, and you identify different potential customer pools, and when you add it all up, that's what we think we're going to do when we start out. And that's 6 days a week, so we'll have 28,000 visitors expected over the year, and as you can see, that works out. Over the hours of the park will be opened to our peak hour stuff. Concurrency, fire, life, and safety, we're comfortably conforming, I've already mentioned. Water availability and potability, I believe we're comfortably conforming. Septic, same thing, we've had the test done. Schools, it's not applicable, we don't generate any school-age children. Our permit is into Swanee River, and the resolution you have in front of you does not give me permission to build until I get that, so you don't have to worry about that. Utilities, there's a 3-phase, goes through the center of the project, and I don't need I need a tiny little bit of power. There's a mammoth amount there. Parking, buffering, and screening, we'll have 1 handicap space, 15 regular, with asphalt drive and shavings for the spaces. And you've seen the traffic report. We expect to generate no noise, odor, or glare that will trespass onto our neighboring properties. In fact, they are mostly mining properties. And I want to say for the record that we don't object to that use. Some people do and find it horrible, but it's kind of hand in glove here. They dug the hole that made it necessary, made it possible for us to do this. So, and I know the communities need rock. So, we propose a sign along 235 in conformity with signage requirements, and inside your resolution is a requirement that I also do that. This is the report from the gentleman, Gerald Sweat, who did the septic. And that's his report. Basically tells me how much I can do there. And really, I want to explain something to you guys that I'm not sure I hope you appreciate. If you were to put houses at this site, a single home would generate 100 gallons of waste per day per person. So a single 3-2 would be 500 gallons of waste per day. Our park only generates 4 per day per person. So we can put a business there, service it, do that, not pollute the environment, and have just a fraction of the impact that any other type of development, residential or commercial, would have. Traffic, you've seen that. Annexation's completed, the zoning is done, future land use is done. There is an interesting rule. I don't know if you guys know about this or not, but if you mine something in the United States, you have to file a plan that says how you're going to put that mine back, not the way that it was, but the best way that you can put it back after you're done. This usually costs millions of dollars, and what most mining companies do, they get to the end and they they go broke. And then somebody else comes in and gets the property and has this plan to deal with. And a couple of the county of Alachua wanted to buy a big site up in Traxler, and they backed out of it because of this reason. Fortunately, this site, the mining ended in '75, and the way these rules work, they were enacted essentially on mines that were in operation after '89. So we can go ahead and do this without running into this problem. I just wanted you to know we've already cleared that hurdle. And that's it. You guys have seen the concept plan. There is a soils report. I would show it to you, but it's really, really technical, and it's hard to really even understand. But basically, they tell me it was good. You have the permit, and there's a title search. Now, there is, I want to discuss the access issue. There's 2 basic ways to get to the property. Oh, well, let me finish with the towers here. So here's the towers. You want to give this part of the demo? The demo? I'll finish it for you because I'm going to go through fast. So what you're looking at here, these are cliff ride physics. So basically, for each ride, we had to figure out how far the ride would go, how much drop there would be, how much line tension to put on it. And once you do that, you can calculate how fast a person who weighs the maximum amount, which is 275 pounds, will travel down the line, and how fast a person who weighs the minimum amount, which in this case is 70. So if you see up there, that bottom line, the green one, that's the speed of the person who weighs the minimum, 70, as they travel along down the line. And the top one, that's the line, that's the speed that the heavy person, the 275 person, and where you see the line there at the end is where we actually grab them and recover them. And we're able to do that up to 50 miles an hour because we have a Hercules spring system brake on it. So when the people arrive at that station, whether they're going the slow speed or the fast, the spring slows them down and brings them back, and they get right off at that point. And I'm not sure how to click on it to make it demo here, but we'll show you that if you'd like. We have one of a demonstration of that spring system, and it's quite amazing. And so this is the cliff. And
is the link in the PowerPoint?
yeah, it's in the slide right before this one. Can I go back? Oh, I don't think so. There. Shoot. Drat. Where is that thing? Huh? Am I? No, let me go forward a little bit. Can I go forward a little bit? You got to see this brake system. It's astonishing. And it's foolproof too. They have multiple different types of springs in there, so even if one fails, the rest catch you.
Well, while we're waiting for that link, I don't know that you might not know this and the chair might not know this, but by long-standing tradition in the city of Newberry, every zip line park that opens up, the P&Z chair has to test it. The very first person to test it. And if he lives, then the mayor tests it twice, the second time.
I mean, well, considering that the chair probably is on the higher end of that weight scale, and the mayor's on the lower end of that weight scale, I don't think that really balances out.
We can't break tradition. Can't break tradition. Is that word, Janine?
Carl, is it this link that you're trying to link?
No. Go. Can we go forward?
Yeah.
Let's go forward. Go forward. Keep going. Hold on. Keep going. One more. Yeah, we're heading the wrong way.
Oh, I thought you wanted to go forward.
So I'm sorry. Yeah. Come on, all right. Right there, cliff ride safety. There it is. I'll wait till you see this. Now this guy coming in here, you got to scroll down a little bit and click on it. This guy coming in here weighs 240 pounds, and he's coming in at 55 miles an hour, and you'll see what this system catches him with no trouble. Go ahead and click on that little button there, right in the middle. There you go. This is the most expensive system, of course. Here he comes. Now he's passing here at 55 miles an hour. The springs stop him, and they return him to the platform. Okay, you can stop it, Janine. So as you can see, I think that I mean, that's the best there is. So the Dragon is our longest line. It's 1,301 feet long, which is the longest in Florida. And it'll be a dual line, so you can race down there. And you know, it's highly likely you would win. Depends, though, whether you do the whole spread eagle thing. So anyway, there it is. And you can see, obviously, you got to worry about that top speed there. That heavy person's coming in at 25 miles an hour if you didn't have the braking system. But we do. So now there's topo. Another thing I want to mention. The real reason you don't have a lot of zipline parks in Florida is it's very flat. So you need 6 feet of drop for every 100 feet of run. So to get enough drop, you have to build large towers, and they cost a lot of money. Fortunately, there are what are called overburden piles. They pumped the dirt and the rock from the quarry up onto these piles all around the edge, and they give us a 50-foot lift, and then we have the 40-foot down. So we start out at a 90-foot advantage here, which lowers the cost of our towers, frankly, by millions of dollars. Beach ride. That one's going to go over where our beach area is. So if we ever do build that, that'll be kind of neat. People can, The mountain ride brings them back from the far side to the plateau where where they circle from out of. That's that hilltop spot. Start is, you can see, it's a very slow ride, very modest, very short. Gives people an opportunity to learn what they're doing and not be freaked out. Jordan's Jamboree, this will be the only handicapped accessible permanent exhibit zip line in Florida. They do have days down at Gatorland where they take handicapped. Jordan passed away, but this ride is in his memory. The wedding is a ride that will come off the back hill and go to an area where people will be, of course, obviously, we expect some people to want to get married on the zip line. No, but and then, so I'm the applicant analysis, future land use regulations, special exception, parking, handicap, toilet, drain, few refuge. I think we've covered all this. Our utilities. Oh, look at this, reactions. I've done zip lining in Ocala. It'd be nice to have a nearby option. Super excited. Sounds like a blast. And these are in reaction to something the mayor put on the Facebook, so thank you. So it's all been very positive. There was one, Joy wrote us a letter of support, and I did hear a negative. Amanda Evans. I do have to ask why zip lining in Newberry. The idea makes no sense. Instead, sounds like a failure to come. Is ziplining really that popular? I believe it is, and I believe the economic analysis shows that. But I do want to answer that question since it was posed. And that's it. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much. That was very insightful. I think, out of the few years I've been in the P&Z, that's one of the best presentations.
Well, thank you. I couldn't even get the video to run of the place. It's really beautiful. But and you guys all got to come out and see it. You're welcome anytime.
Bro, are you serious? You're my vice chair.
That we
You have
voted that you were going to do that while you were absent.
You missed the vote, sorry.
Yeah. We'll make an exception. I'm pretty sure the Hercules thing can take care of that.
Actually, there can be no exceptions.
Oh.
We have to install a scale, and you have to get a bracelet put on your wrist if you weigh under that weight, and you cannot get one if you don't, because there's the laws of physics involved here. If you put somebody on there too heavy, they can come in too fast and either harm themselves or somebody else. So that is unfortunately a very strict rule. So strict that Even if we want to move the weight up to 300, we have to change that weight on the bottom, and that would mean excluding a lot of kids, which I think is not the way to go with this. So 275 is
the route.
That's the top.
All right, man, we got a fitness challenge to make then. But
Go ahead.
well, hang tight. We got it. So from here, we actually have to go to public comments, and then we'll bring you back up for
Sure.
for questions. But thank you very much for your presentation. With that being said, we had no third-party interveners. I heard we had new people enter the room. Does that mean, Mr. Attorney, I continue on with my format and then redo it again, or?
Are the people here that are new, are they on this matter or are they on something else?
The people that walked in, are they?
So there were people that came in after I swore people in. And I think.
He's part of the applicant.
Right, but, so if you're gonna talk, I need to swear you in. And I don't know, were you two ladies here? Are you gonna speak?
They were here.
No, they were here. They were here. I remember. I think they moved. Bless you.
Okay. Right, just wanna make sure.
Thank you.
We're okay, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, now I'll open it up for public comments. Please remember, public comments are limited to 3 minutes.
I got 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. If you could come up to the microphone, state your name.
My name is Tony Birch, and I am a resident of Newberry for the last 15 years. I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Carl, a wonderful guy, and he told me about the zip line park, and I was ecstatic. I'm like, yes, let's do it. He asked me if I mind coming up here and speaking. I'm like, tell me when, I'll be there. My wife and I raised 3 kids in Newberry. Unfortunately, none of them didn't attend any of these schools here in Newberry, but one of them decided to move back to Newberry. And I can tell you, I don't know if because it's Newberry or she wanted to be close to her parents, but she moved back, her and her family. They bought a home over there in Oak Park. And I was telling her about it, and then it started making me think about when they were younger, and we'd go to St. Augustine, go to the beach or something like that, and they slept the whole ride home. Okay, so we get home, we get ready, we take them out of the car, they get out of the car, they take a bath, and guess what? They was wide awake after that because they slept the whole ride home. We got something that's gonna happen right here in Newberry. They go here, have fun, you go home, they take a bath, shower, and then they still gonna be tired and go to bed. Come on. I mean, you think about that. And not only that, you think about this right here. We got the revenue that's gonna be right here in Newberry that's gonna stay in Newberry. And that's something else that's going to be huge for the city of Newberry in my eyesight. That's all I have to say. I think it's going to be outstanding. I support Carl, and I don't know him. I don't know him. I think we talked about 30 minutes. As you can see, I love to talk. But I tell you one thing I did like about him, if I can say, he's a believer. And that goes a long way in my book. That's all I have to say. Thank you all for the time, for letting me speak, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Birch. Appreciate that.
I'm going to put my mask back on. Like you.
All right, do we have any other public comments? All right, just please state your name for the record, and
Yes, my name is Jeff Dollinger. I'm an attorney here at Scruggs and Carmichael in Gainesville, and I represent Cates and Broom, the actual owner of the property across which access will be given. We're still working out that part of it, the access across. At the next meeting, Limestone Products, Cates and Broom will be before the same panel, same commission, to get a special exception for their continuing mining of their property. So we're working with Mr. Spain. We just want to make sure everybody knows that we're working with them both on the access issue and for our own purposes to continue mining our property.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on the? All right, going once, going twice. All right, hearing none. At this point, staff, if you would like to, actually, I'm sorry, the applicant, if you want to cross-examine, doesn't seem like anybody was.
Satisfied.
All right, staff, you can cross-examine at this point. JP, no. Sorry, Brian's like blocking your view here. All right. Members of the decision-making body, I promise, right after this, we'll take a quick potty break. Do we have any questions for the applicant? All right, Mr. Long.
We talked about the springs. What's the usage rate of those springs for maintenance-wise, for that weight limit?
I don't actually know. The company that is doing that design for us, Abe, hasn't given me the specifications for specifically how long those last before they have to be replaced. But there'll be a maintenance schedule, and obviously we'll conform to it.
Okay. Thank you. I wouldn't go too far.
I'm sorry?
I wouldn't go too far, because I'm pretty sure we have more questions for her for you. I have a few questions of my own, but out of respect to my dais, please go ahead, Ms. Baker.
I'm not sure if this is for staff or the applicant. One of the conditions listed that staff found was about gated access. And if the access road is gated, what would be the determination on whether or not that access road is gated?
So the competing interests here were limestone products that obviously didn't want anything to happen on the road that they were going to let me come in on. And in the end, we finally decided we'd have to deed it to us just to get away from that issue. As far as the gate goes, what I've been hoping to do is incorporate an access way for the McGeehees and the Johnsons. They're the people who own the piece of property, the 20 acres that was cut out of the 80 total, over that same road. And the question then would be for their attorney, who was Clay Martin, and that family, would they find a gate a problem? And if they wanted a gate, you know, and in other words, could we work with them to make them happy? If they want a gate, I could let them in through it. If they don't want one, I'm okay with that. So really, the only reason that I don't have an answer for you on this is that I haven't met with their attorney and talked this out yet. But it really boils down to them. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have to have a gate. If we do put one up, I can certainly put the knock box on that the fire department requires.
Go ahead and ask your questions, Mr. Chair.
Well, Ms. Woodcock, do you have any questions for the applicant? Ms. Paul?
I'd like to add that I did also agree with Limestone Products to add a secondary fence along that road.
Okay.
So they would do a berm and a fence, and I would have a fence. This way, a person traveling there would have to get over 2 fences and that berm in order to get over where they shouldn't be, which I think is a superior plan.
All right. So I was looking at your equation of 90 riders.
Yes, sir.
In a day. And then I was looking at your equations of the traffic pattern of coming in and out.
That actually is the engineers.
Okay.
That's not me.
So my question is that I did simple arithmetic here, 90 riders. They said like it would be like about 3 people on average coming in and out. So that's about 30 trips total. With that being said, what's the average time people spend at this park?
Well,
my concern is it's like, you know, are we going to have all like 90 people leaving at the same time?
Oh, no. They'll come in. They'll be that spread over the 9 or 10 hours the park is open. It's very little actual. There's almost no intensity to this use. Nature of the use also lends itself. So in other words, this isn't like you go to 7-Eleven, you go there by yourself. Typically when people go ziplining, they go with somebody else. So you do get like 2 to a car usually. But I don't get to argue any of that. It's an International Transportation Engineering table, ITE or whatever. They take those numbers off there and we have to live with them. when they're good and when they're bad.
All right. Yes. Yeah, please.
So in the traffic report, the traffic engineer is providing you the PM peak hour weekday trips, and so that's not accounting for all trips throughout the day.
Okay.
So he's only accounting for those trips that would happen Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. And so, correct, yeah,
Right.
peak hour. And peak hour is a standard form. It's used by, when you see those tables for FDOT, they're looking at peak hour trips because that's when people have problems on the road, is when they're trying to get home, because everybody gets out at 5 o'clock. So that is kind of the standard for measurement. So it's not going to represent the total capture of trips that occur throughout the day, but it will be an estimate of how many trips you'll probably generate during those time periods during those days. All right.
Thank you, John.
And zip lines don't have a direct equivalent in the ITE. The ITE, you kind of have to play pin the tail on the donkey. With some uses, zip line would be one of those. So you would find a use that has a similar type of activity associated with it. And so those may not even be accurate. That may be overestimating zip line to some degree. So
thank you, John Paul.
You're
Appreciate that. Go ahead. I have one more last question, but if you're good, go ahead.
Okay, I guess I don't know your peak hours or your early hours or whatever. Is this going to be open at night? I mean, that sounds to me like something that would be kind of fun, so I'm just curious, like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night?
Most zipline parks have a night zip, but it's usually something like one night a month or something like that. So it's a special thing. You light it up. People come there with like glow sticks and whatever, but it's not something that you do because there's not enough demand for it, is the bottom line here.
So then we don't have to be concerned with lighting, and I can never remember what we call dark sky lighting. We won't need that because you won't be lighting up the neighborhood.
The area where the handicap bathroom and parking is will have a light, and I don't know how you guys do the dark star thing. I as a developer, every time I've gotten in a project and we tried to go under the light limits, see, you guys have passed an ordinance of what the minimum light limits are here for safety. And if a person is traveling through an area that is below that limit and they trip, they're going to sue me and eventually the city. I don't build those projects. I always put lights up to the minimum. And I understand why and what the objective is and how people feel about it. But it's a safety issue, and I can just tell you, when you go to court, you get crucified. They don't care what your reasoning was. You didn't put enough lights, the person fell down, they got hurt, and then you're really in for it. So, and particularly where I have my parking lot and my handicap bathroom, what I do typically is I work out an arrangement with the utility. They will rent and put up a light for me. They charge me a certain number of dollars per month. And if you work this out, what it costs for them to put that light there, and then what they charge me, it's like the steal of the century. So that's how I always do it. And that's where I'll have a light. But of course, because of the nature of what we're doing out there, we'll have the minimum number of streetlights possible, but still meet the code.
Yeah. So the dark light is really, we feel like you waste a lot of light for no reason by pointing upward. We ask that the light shade protect the night sky and really focus on the street or wherever you are. So there really is, it's not like we're trying to get you to dim the light. We're trying to protect the actual night sky and have the light projected down.
Use specific type of canopy cover. I did that exact thing at the Pink Flamingo. We had the lights all around the golf course a certain way so it didn't bother the residential neighborhood behind them. And by the way, that worked out beautifully. I stood out there and made sure they were all correctly positioned. It does work. But I don't believe in not putting as much light on the ground as you need. It's dangerous. That's all.
So that brings me actually to my question that I have. So I'm a huge insurance nerd. And when it comes to lawsuits, you know, Florida's a very lawsuit-hungry
Yes, I'm
state.
aware.
I'm not saying that this is a requirement. However, I do feel that $1 million liability
No,
is very minimum for what you're looking for here. And I'm not saying that it's a requirement to, I want you to get an umbrella, I want you to get more, but I would just suggest, like, is 1 million really something you guys are?
I think that it was wise and thoughtful of the planning department to only put the $1 million limit in that resolution. However, what I have bid for is $1 million per occurrence with a $5 million umbrella.
Okay.
So just, and if you know insurance, then you know that I got the right thing. And I would do that because you know, you have to protect yourself, and insurance is the way to do it.
I mean, my concern comes that, you know, unfortunately, we just had an incident in Orlando.
I'm aware of that. I've been following that.
And what scares me is that, God forbid, something does happen in our neck of the woods, and we would not want that to happen. If something were to happen, it could devastate the business and devastate, you know, not just the name of Newberry, but devastate the family. That now we had a zip line that was such a great enjoyment for families. Unfortunately, they got sued so much that they got nothing.
Well, fortunately for me, zip lining is very safe. I don't know if you've looked into it or not, but it has a wonderful safety record. Most of the people who get hurt in zip lining get hurt because of the exact thing I showed you. They're coming in too fast, they try to stop them, and they bump into somebody and knock them down, or they get hurt or break a leg or an arm. With the brake system like this, we should have really no injuries. And in addition to the main wire, we have a safety wire that runs above it. All our lines are doubled. And so the chances that something, I mean, I don't want to, you know, jinx myself, but I put a lot of time and effort into safety. I'll just tell you that, I do.
Yeah, so that was, like I said, I wasn't going to make it, you know, hey, I would like to do this with this being bumped up. It was more of a suggestion to the business owner as, hey, you know, we want to make sure that you guys, your risk management team is aware, like, you should really look into an umbrella. And thank you for shooting off a $5 million umbrella.
Don't worry, I'm there. I was way ahead of you. The first thing I bid before I did anything else on the business model was the insurance. And we filled out a form. How many lines, how far, every other thing. They do a detailed analysis now before they give you a bid.
Perfect. And then I do appreciate the whole helicopter pad. I think that is something that I wanted to ask. Will that be accessible for your friend or back? If, you know, will they be able to access that helicopter pad if need be?
Any safety feature in the park is available for
the neighbors.
Whatever, for the city, for fire department, for whatever, of course.
Okay.
I have the Mercedes-Benz attitude there. All their safety patents they don't enforce. So.
I mean, I just see that you guys are willing to put a helicopter pad, which I do appreciate, because I think the city and I mapped it the other day, and it was what was it, like 4 miles? Yeah, it was like a little less than 4 miles from the fire station.
Right.
And you know, seconds count, and I believe the helicopter pad would be a huge relief for that area.
And we also have a lot of money budgeted for training, so we're going to work with your people, train ours. I mean, we're going to be very responsive.
All right. Thank you. Does my board have any other comments, questions?
I have one further question. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. So there's a fence at the perimeter of the entire site, and there's a fence around the quarry itself the whole way?
Well, the fence around the perimeter is, there's a combination of fencing because the sites around us have fences because they're quarries. So I don't want to have a double fence. So, but along the road I will, because there's a difference between where my road is and where their berm is. So we could put a second fence there and it wouldn't be ugly. As far as the fencing goes, right around the edge of the quarry, Eli and I have been working on that. And what we've come up with, I think, is really neat. It's a 5-foot-high chain link fence that has a wood-facing front, so it's not unattractive. You go to the park, it looks good, but it is still strong. And I have these cameras, which now we can place And you can program the cameras so they'll actually alarm if a person travels over that fence into the area in between that cliff and the, so we can have a fence, we can have a warning, and we can have an alarm, and we'll know immediately in our headquarters if someone goes over that. And obviously, if they jump off the cliff and into the water, I don't think they'll die. A lot of people have done it out there, but of course it's risky.
I have no further questions.
You'd be shocked how many people told me they swam there when they were in their teens.
That was a rite of passage as a teenager. You couldn't get to 16 unless you had gone off the edge, or you would be so embarrassed, right?
Well, there's a camera recording you now, Miss Linda. Just be careful.
I know.
She admits
That
it
was
in
one
public.
of the most difficult
can
things
never
I've ever
can't
done,
confirm nor
is
deny.
to hold my nose and jump into that. It was terrifying. It
Well, you're
really
braver
was.
than I am, because I would never jump off
But
that
I
cliff.
lived. I lived and I walked out.
No way. I've had several people tell me, oh yeah, I broke my leg there, I broke my arm there. I'm like, ooh. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was scary, but it was something we all had to do.
Well, according to the insurance agent, what the quarry is, the quarry as it stands is what's called an attractive nuisance. And there's actually a place on the internet you can go and get instructions of where to park and how to get in there and possibly kill yourself. So I think this, with cameras, with a business there, with fencing, will be way safer than the actual quarry is under the no-build option.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions or comments. This my no. Good. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this moment, we ask questions. Final argument. Did you have anything? I mean,
vote for me.
Yeah. All right. I have to ask the attorney every time, right? Correct? No? Oh, so, oh, you're good. All right. So the attorney, all right, good. Deliberation, we're all right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump in on this one. See what I did there? Dad joke? I jump in. Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and motion to approve. Yeah, a motion to approve as needed. Oh, a motion to approve with conditions. I don't see any real changes to those conditions. I think those are very well written out. So I'll go ahead and a motion to approve with conditions, with staff's conditions. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
All right, so you got the chair, Naeem, and vice chair Long, motion and second. Do we have any comments on the motion? Do we have any public comments on the motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous.
Mr. Chair.
We're gonna go on a bathroom break.
Well, before we go on a bathroom break, because not everybody may come back for the bathroom break. I couldn't say this in quasi-judicial, but now that the vote has happened, I want to appreciate your vision.
Yes.
I've lived here my whole life. Every time I've gone out there legally,
Cool thing.
I have admired the mines, and I have been waiting for somebody to see that vision. I think these mines are beautiful. I think this will make Newberry a destination location. I think people are going to come from all around to do this. I agree with you, sir, that when they come here, they're going to spend some money. So I hope that that this project continues to grow and we see some additions to it. But thank you for believing in Newberry, and we'll believe in you right back.
Thank you so much.
Would you all pay attention that he never said he jumped off?
He can never confirm nor deny.
I confirmed.
All right, we're at 8:05. We'll reconvene in 6 minutes at 8:11. We should do the night one.
Stage public. Man, no questions for public.
For real. Everybody's like, where you been my whole life?
I don't want this agenda item to take 1 second longer.
No. All right, guys, I'm going to give 30 seconds here. 30 seconds before we start.
Jason.
All right, guys. All right, I'm going to bring this planning and zoning back to order at a little, this is why I do it always for more minutes. But yeah, it's 8:13. Slam that. That was hostile. It got everybody quiet, didn't it? All right, we are still in quasi-judicial. If we can go ahead and we're going to move on. Oh, number 4 will move.
Mr. Chair, actually, the first item is the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, which is legislative.
Okay.
Then the final item
Number
is
5. Okay.
quasi-judicial.
All right, so just real quick, number 4, just to put it on the record, it's going to go before the Board of Adjustment on 6/13. All right, number 5 is legislative. Does city attorney still read into, if you can read into the ordinance?
Mr. Chair, this is an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, amending ordinance number 4-91 as amended relating to the amendment of the future land use plan map of the City of Newberry Comprehensive Plan of 50 or fewer acres of land pursuant to an application by Northfleet Properties, LLLP, the owner of said acreage, under the small-scale development amendment procedures established in section 163.3187 of the Florida statutes as amended, providing for a change in land use classification from agricultural, 1 dwelling unit per 5 acres, to planned development on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, parcel number 02544-003-006, consisting of approximately plus or minus 5.75 contiguous acres of land, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. Appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2022-23 as read by title only.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Staff, can you go ahead and present for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As stated, this is an ordinance pertaining to a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment. The future land use on the subject parcel right now is agriculture. The application would change that to planned development in compliance with the city's comprehensive plan and in compliance with the existing planned development it is adjacent to. The intent being to make it part of the adjacent planned development. It's 5.75 acres, which qualifies as a small-scale amendment. It does not have to be submitted to the state for any kind of review. Right now, it's vacant agricultural land, but again, it will be added to the existing planned development. And the surrounding uses to the north agriculture, but to the south are residential and commercial town center. There's a picture of the location. It basically covers the entire northern boundary of the Newberry Countryway at Newberry Town Square plan development. Staff concurs with the data and analysis provided in the application by the applicant's agent. Also support the analysis of urban sprawl in the Florida statutes that proposed future land use change does not create urban sprawl and instead helps to discourage urban sprawl within the city and unincorporated areas. Therefore, staff recommends approval of ordinance 2022-23 for application CPA 22-2.
Thank you. All right. So we can just move on to questions. We're in a legislative, so we're kind of like less formal here. So please, if you have questions, let's go ahead and ask these questions. All right, I got no questions. No questions. All right, well, what would you need from us? On a motion?
We would need a motion from the Planning and Zoning Board for recommend approval to the City Commission for application 22, CPA 22-02 and ordinance 2022-23.
Move to approve this item.
All right, I got a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Woodcock coming in.
I got you, Donna.
All right. With that being said, is there any comments on the motion? Public comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Motion passes unanimous. All right, move on to, this will go before the commission, first reading, 6/13. All right, item number 6, please.
All right, Mr. Chair. Well, actually, it's another ordinance, so the attorney.
All right, Mr. Attorney, if you can read into the record the ordinance.
Thank you, Gordon.
Uh-oh.
It says 220-24. Yep, LDR 2204.
2204.
We're on page 159.
No, I'm not.
Oh, we are in this takes us into quasi, huh? Okay, so we are actually back in quasi judicial. No new members have joined us. So I will have either staff or the attorney's gonna read it in. No, I'm just gonna get really hot in here. Yeah. There's no happy medium in the dais. It's either really cold or really hot.
Yeah, that's true. I know better than.
Well, because
to
like
not
half the
wear
room
a
left.
jacket.
They're better too.
Yeah. I probably have
What
one in
happens
the
when I have a
car.
planning period, you know, all the kids
Usually-
leave, then it gets really cold, then they come back in, it's sweat.
No.
Usually Mike has extra ones in his
ready,
office,
to
but
move
he's
into
gone
the-
outside.
We can do that.
All right, so are we gonna move on to 7? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
All right, so just real quick, we'll move on to 7 until we can get 6 squared away, but we're still in quasi judicial. So I'll have the attorney read into the record number 7.
Mr. Chair, this is Resolution 2022-08, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving an application for site and development plan approval for a 29,193 square foot gross floor area of new construction, Building 5, consisting of a 13,194 square foot first floor area commercial center with a 15,999 square foot second floor for 12 residential apartments and associated site development, including parking and utilities pursuant to Section 14.12 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations located in Newberry Town Center at the Square at Country Way on a portion of approximately 8.53 acres within the corporate limits of the city of Newberry, Florida. A portion of a parcel number 02544-003-000, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion will be to pass resolution number 2022-08 upon its reading by title only.
All right, thank you, Mr. Attorney. Before we go to staff overview, has there been any Act 42 communications? Mr. Long? No. Baker? No. None. All right, staff, please.
So this is the site and development plan for Building 5. It's a request by CP, Chris Potts Engineering, for Norfleet Construction. And the first floor would be used for commercial, and the second floor would consist of 12 residential apartments. This one is located on the north side of Southwest 18th Road, pictured there, across from the one containing the gym and alongside the others there. So here's the entire master plan for Newberry Town Center PD, and the square is up in that northwest corner. Here's another picture of the site plan. This would be Building 5 down at the bottom. And staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend to the Board of Adjustment approval of the resolution SCP 2203. Any questions?
All right, so at this point, thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Good evening, Chair. Chris Potts. No, I do not, but I'm here to answer any questions.
All right. Being that there's such a large crowd here, we're going to limit public comments to 3 minutes. All right. All right. Hearing no public comments, we have no third-party intervener. I take it you're not cross-examining. Staff, do you have anything to cross-examine? No. All right, we're going to go ahead and move this to the decision-making body for any questions.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
No.
Please?
Yes, go ahead.
The 1,300 square feet on the first floor for commercial, what is how many units is that going to be on the bottom floor?
Mr. Chair, right now, I believe it is set up for 3 different uses. One will be hopefully a restaurant. Another will be a meat shop for local meat and produce and that sort of thing to support local community as well as local restaurants. And then right now, there's just a blank retail space.
Thank you.
It's a pizza shop, right? We only approve pizza.
We only approve pizza. Put that on the record.
It's Italian style.
Okay, Italian style. I like it.
I just am curious as to, is as we're saying, the pizza situation, the other situation is that we also have, we have 2 choices. My house, well, 3 choices. My house, where they like to eat, but pizza or Mexican. That's our choices. So if we, Mr. Norfleet, could come up with a nice cafe that serves something other than pizza and...
What? The Stonehouse is good.
Stone...
One of them's pizza.
That's what you're bringing?
Pizza.
Thank you, Tripp. That's nice. Okay. All right.
Is there a Taco Bell possibility?
Rachel Harrison is running a really nice cafe in Trenton. See if you can talk her into coming over here.
I'd like to throw in my vote for a sushi restaurant, please.
Okay, I'm with you. Yes.
So anyway, what we are planning on doing, whether it all happens just right, on the west side, the building is going to be a Mexican restaurant, and then there you go, Miss. That's just for you, Mr. McCook. And so on the other side, we're
your mama.
So the other one, we're going to have a butcher shop, and our goal is to run our cattle from the farm through the butcher shop.
That sounds great.
And then we're gonna supply the meat for the Mexican and Stonehouse, and then you can also go in there and buy it from the counter, and you have seafood and stuff in there too. And then it's gonna have 2 other parcels in the back that you'll actually, for parking, for the apartments, you'll drive up under the apartments. And one of them, I've got a girl really interested in doing like a bakery shop kind of.
That's Rachel.
Called, who's that?
Rachel Harrison.
No, I don't know who it is. But anyway, she's wanting to do this bakery shop, and the other one, it's a girl that lives in the subdivision. Both of the girls live in the subdivision. She's wanting to do maybe a dance studio for the kids.
That would be great, too.
So now whether those 2 come through, but the Mexican restaurant we're sure of. See, we're good on that.
It's
we're good
okay.
on
I
the
won't
butcher
have to
shop.
drive
So
far.
that's, and then above it'll be the apartments. So, and it's kind of, it'll be a different looking building than like the gym, but it'll be facing it. And our goal is to do it kind of a brick building on that. So we're gonna do.
I think too that, you know, I think Slade has done well in the gym, and you certainly there, I go pretty regular, but there's a lot of Newberry people that are in there that are supporting that gym that he's opened. Okay.
I'm telling you, Linda makes the best cakes, period.
I don't want to make a bakery cake, though. I don't want to open a bakery. Rachel wants to open a bakery.
I think, it's gonna sound weird, but I guess like everything in the town center, from what it seems, has been pretty, yeah, in simpler terms, excellent. And thank you, Mr. Norfleet, for providing that space. And tell you what, we do patronize the Stonehouse, and it's every time I've gone to that restaurant, I will say that it is consistently excellent. I have yet to have a derogatory experience there. Baker might have like 1 or 2, but no. The bread didn't come out as soft as usual. No. So but I will say I look forward to the more stuff coming to that center, and the excellence continuing, and hoping that reputation continues. Whether it's pizza or Mexican pizza, we don't know.
Jesus.
We can have best of both worlds.
Or Italian, too. There's the other one. I just keep thinking we need chicken and dumplings or something. Somebody.
All right. Do we have any other questions for the applicant on this? All right. I think you guys answered my question on the parking. There's going to be additional parking behind the building. Is that correct, staff? Okay. Yeah. Under the building?
It's going to be a 2-story.
No, but I'm saying, is there going to be parking? Because my concern is, and I addressed this concern with staff, is Stonehouse takes up already so much of that parking area that where you're planning this, they're already parking there to go to Stonehouse. So if you have an additional restaurant and a butcher shop and another storefront, there's going to be additional parking in the back of that area.
Yes, there will be. It's going to be, the building is 2-story.
Okay.
With residents above and then the non-residential below. But then it's going to be a little different where the 2nd story actually continues on around and all the way to the back.
Okay.
So that the parking, you'll have a feeling of driving under the building to the parking that's provided along 18th.
Gotcha.
But you will be able to see some of the parking from 18th as you drive by.
Okay. They're not going to be there anymore.
As far as the events?
Like Watermelon Festival, rodeo.
They're still going to have those. It'll just be like any other events. It'll be more of an outdoor experience, which will support the restaurants within the square.
And actually, while we're talking about that, you, The town center has been very welcoming and very easy to work with for the festival, and I can speak for at least 3 of the people involved in putting that show on, that they really have appreciated the fact that everybody out there has been helpful and worked together, and that's the important thing, getting everything done. And it's not easy at all. Is that your favorite event, or is the rodeo your favorite? Yeah, I thought so. All right. Thank you for doing what you all do, seriously.
All right, do we have any other questions for the applicant or staff? All right, hearing none, we can deliberate, and if we're done deliberating, we can entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve this item.
Motion to approve.
I second that motion.
A second from Vice Chair Long, so I got a motion from Ms. Baker and a second from Vice Chair Long. Any comments on the motion? Public comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Are we good to rock on number 6? We are. All right, so we're gonna backtrack a little bit here. Oh, by the way, this will go before the Board of Adjustments on June 13th. June 13th. Number 6.
Mr. Chair, this is an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida pursuant to Article 4 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations as amended relating to the amendments of the adopted preliminary development order number 10-08 and the associated developers agreement pursuant to an application by the property owners of said acreage to amend the county way at the country way at Newberry Town Square Planned Development, PD, amending total acreage and the mix of permitted residential uses on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, adding approximately 5.75 acres specifically identified as tax parcel number 02544-003-006 to the PD, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2022-24 as read by title only.
Thank you. Any ex parte communications on this item? Long? Baker, Woodcock? No? None? None. All right. Staff, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the companion ordinance that changes the zoning on the 5.7 acres that you just heard of a few moments ago, where the application was to change the future land use to planned development. This is the companion rezoning amendment that would take it from agricultural to planned development. It would also amend the approved preliminary master plan for the PD to add that 5.7 acres, that 100-foot strip on the north, to the officially add it to the PD, and then it would also allow for the development of an area of tiny homes, which is allowed for in the City of Newberry Plan Development Code. And so basically it'll, like I said, it'll amend the preliminary master plan, add the tiny homes component, and you know, you've seen the area where it's located. Currently, the plan development is approved for 365 single-family residences. The application for the final phase of development prior to this amendment, phase 6, only went up to 314, so there's actually additional density that could be added to the existing approval if there was enough land, and this is going to help do that. So they're not, it's important to understand the applicant's not asking for additional capacity or density. They're not asking for additional units. They were approved at 365. Right now they only have, I believe, 314, and so there's 51 units that they are still approved for. Adding this 5 3/4 acres and developing potentially tiny homes could fill that additional density that they're already approved for in their development order. So while they are proposing to potentially do some more units, those units are essentially already under the approval that they got several years ago for the planned development. It's not adding any additional density. Again, there's the strip of land, probably the westernmost portion of that will just be added to the commercial area as part of that. The area past the, east of the commercial area would be available for further development as part of the planned development. Reviewed the data analysis provided by the applicant and concur that it complies with the city's comprehensive plan and the city's land development regulations. And there is a capacity available for the city for water and sewer as well to support the additional units. Therefore, staff recommends to the city that the board vote to recommend approval to the City Commission ordinance 2022-24, application LDR 22-04.
All right, thank you. All right, does applicant have a presentation?
I don't know, do you?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Chris Potts again. We do not have a presentation, but I'd like to just discuss a little bit with you about the tiny home idea. Since this piece of property is only 100 foot in depth that we're adding, the intention for the additional use of tiny homes is to create some sort of housing that's available for the middle class or the working class folks. We know with the current economy, the current housing, it's all going up. The intention of these is to create some sort of smaller home. It'll be a smaller lot, so it'll be very little maintenance. The idea is that these homes will be for a lot of the working class who don't really have time to take care of their yard or that sort of thing, that they have a place to reside in. Additionally, the applicant is hoping that several of his own employees will be, he's going to try to gear them towards these tiny homes and residing in them. So that's the idea. We're also, as the development moves, if it gets approved by the board and moves forward, it's going to be designed to make sure there's adequate parking and that sort of thing to not impede any of the already homes that are constructed. So if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Thank you. All right.
And on that strip to the west, probably at least 40% of that land is going to be for parking behind the gym, will be parking for the town square. That was the biggest reason of buying it, was for the parking of the town square. And then like Chris Potts said, down there next to retention pond on the far east where we was talking about putting the tiny homes, you know, we work a lot of these young boys right out of high school that are 20, 21, 22, and you know, we want something where the guys that are working on the subdivision could actually afford to stay in it, and that's one of the things. But probably 40% of the main reason we got the bought the piece of property from my uncle was to have additional parking for the square, because I think as more buildings get there, I was real worried about running out of the parking. Yeah, so that was one of the things I wanted to say. Right now, we're thinking maybe 400 square foot. It'll be pretty small, and the way we'd do them is you know, all the landscaping will be maintained by the association, so it'd be fully mowed. Not where right now in the designer and the cottage homes, the front yards are all mowed. These here, the whole yard would be taken care of. So it's kind of geared to, like, you know, like I said, right out of high school kids, or even somebody, you know, got divorced, don't need something right away, or you know, even older people. And then it'd be close enough you could walk to the town square to get because I've been wanting to do the tiny homes for a while, but you got to be careful. You put them too far out, you can't. But it'd be kind of cool if they could walk toward the town square and eat and work out and do their whole deal, you know, just like you would at somewhere else. Is the ideal of them.
So are these basically like kitchen and area all one, and then a bathroom and bed off to the side?
Well, actually, the ones we're going to do are probably going to be 2-story, and they're kind of up in the trusses. And so the second floor would be the bedroom and bathroom.
Oh, okay.
And they're kind of cool looking. As a matter of fact, my daughter's the one that picked them out. She said, "This is what I want to have right here." And I said, "That's a pretty good idea."
I've looked at a lot of tiny homes, mainly
Oh, really? Yeah, and these are kind of look like little cottages. You know, they'll be framed up with a hardy board, but we hadn't. I've got the plan I want to do, and we'd probably do one to start with and make sure it looked right and somebody would like it. You know? But that's the ideal. But the main part of the strip of land we got there was for the parking for the town square, because I thought as we added buildings, we wanted to make sure we didn't run out of the parking.
All right. So
I don't know. You know, we're hoping we can.
We got to follow the.
Yeah.
Just, I don't want anything to mess up for the Northfleet's plan. We'll get to those questions in a second. Staff, did you have anything else to report on this?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. I take it we're not going to have any kind of cross-examination here. All right, because I know we're eager for questions. I have questions. I'm sure we have. So, all right, now let's get to the questions for Mr. Northfleet and staff. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, we have questions on the costs. Is there, I have a few questions. You have a few questions? Okay. So, are you going to be open to answer some of these questions? All right, perfect. So go ahead, Mr. Long. You got questions on the...
Yeah,
you know, we don't know right now, you know, on the thing. You know, one of the biggest things I was thinking about wanting to do with them is build them to rent. And that way we'd take care of them. And one of the things, I've got guys that's been with me a pretty good while. And our goal was maybe to build these things. And just like, say, my daughter wanted to buy one, my son wanted to buy one. I got some guys that's been with me a long time. If they wanted to buy one, we would manage it up there at the square for them and kind of get them in the game. You know what I mean? And my goal would be, off the get-go, is really not to sell them, but have them affordable, somebody can do it. And one of the things I want to hold on to them is, like all the guys that work for us, to have them the opportunity to own them. You know, we would manage them for them and rent them out. Now, that may change, but I just think it'd be kind of a cool deal, you know, because, you know, what we've done out there, we've been very fortunate. We've had great people working for us, and you know, we couldn't do that alone without those people, and that was kind of my thinking. And then I think, you know, back to your cost, you know, the way the lumber and stuff's going up, you know, I would hope you'd be able to build them and sell them, you know, for around that $100,000 mark, but I just don't know, you know, right now, without knowing exact plan we're going to do. But my idea was not to make them too big, you know, so they could be affordable. And that was our part with the yard, you know. They're not going to have garages or nothing, so you just have a little front porch, and then you'd have a nice back porch that they could be on. Yards wouldn't be very big, and the ideal is, but you could have them where you could sell them to, you know what I mean? So, and that was the ideal. So, like I said, that long strip of land, probably the first 40% would be parking, and then the next 60% that backs up to that big retention pond would be the tiny homes. That's kind of what our goal was. But, you know, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him you're playing sometimes. So.
All right. Do you have questions? Ms. Woodcock, do you have any questions?
I have a question. So this is one parcel of land, right? This is what we're looking at. So in order to sell those individual homes, you would have to subdivide that property into smaller pieces. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So what you're looking at right now is more like a land trust kind of model, where somebody could buy the house itself, but you would hold the property in perpetuity?
Well, like right now we're just trying to get the PD, get the land so it can be planned development, and then later on we'd bring up the plat for the parking and also the particular lots. So, am I wrong on that? Am I saying that wrong, Chris? Make sure I'm saying it right.
That's why you're paying it.
Yeah.
To answer your question, yes, eventually, right now it's one piece of property to get it zoned and the land use changed. And then at a later date, we'll come back with either a subdivision plan or a site plan, which then if needed, the subdivision would be platted, which then will have individual lots that are available for sale.
And that is the plan, to have individual lots on the tiny homes. And like you said, that way, if I had members of our people that wanted to buy them, they could, you know what I mean? And so that's the plan. Exactly how it went down, I didn't know, but I want to make sure I didn't say something wrong.
Thank you.
All right, and then what's the current, I know you said the number, what was the number again? What was the idea of how many homes were you looking, roughly?
Well, the current PD has a maximum of 365, and right now we have 314 homes that are, if not platted, in the process to be platted. So the difference, which is 51, which would be our available density left for the tiny homes. Will we have 51? It just depends if the layout and the land, if we can, because we will have to, one thing I don't think Brian or myself mentioned is in the current PD, there's a requirement of a 25-foot buffer along the perimeter. And so that buffer will now be moved, if it gets approved, to the northern side, abutting the development and the agricultural land to the north. So we'll have a 25-foot buffer and then the development.
Okay. And you pretty much answered the whole question of renting home ownership and whatnot. All right. Is there any other? Do you have any questions? All right. We have no more questions. Final argument can be made. None. All right. We can go ahead and deliberate, and I will entertain a motion.
I move to motion.
Motion to approve or?
Approve, yeah, sorry.
Okay. I got a motion to approve from Vice Chair Long.
Second.
And I got a second from Ms. Baker. Do we have any comments on the motion? Public comments? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimous. And this will go before the commission on 6/13. All right, and that takes us to agenda items, which we have none, and then topics for discussion. I knew this is why you guys voted me as your chair, because I move things along. See that face. Any member Long? Yeah, members discussion. Long, do you have anything? None. None. Miss Woodcock.
I've spoken to the mayor about this and to Senator. I'm not on here. Recently, y'all don't really know where I live, but I live just a little bit east of town. I live across from IPAS.
Oh, okay.
Where the IPAS is. I live on the south side of the highway there. So I'm on a nice piece of property, and I'm on the very back end of it, and it's all quiet, and it's wonderful and nice, and I love it. 3 fields over from me, 3 fields east of me, apparently someone who is new to the community has built a home, and they are afraid of night things. I'm thinking that's it. Because for some reason, they have put up these long poles with these lights. Now, code, I understand, it doesn't shine into my windows in my house. It doesn't light up my backyard. But when I walk out, which I often do, because I don't sleep well at night, so it's 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, midnight, whatever, I go out in my backyard and I'm looking for armadillos or whatever, and it looks like a great big moon, which is what I thought it was, and it's aggravating. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see their light. I don't want to be a part of their life. It's 3 fields over, and I can see this light right out there in the middle of the night. So I'm happy that we have discussed whatever that is called you talk about, dark sky. However, as we continue to grow and develop and we get more subdivisions and more people moving in and they buy an acre, 2 acres, whatever, we're going to have to deal with this because I'm not the only one that's going to, I'm not complaining. I'm not. But I am concerned that this is going to be a problem. And if we're doing that for businesses, somehow, and I called Clay Electric, it's not their pole. It's not their light. They can't do anything about it. But I can't do anything about it either. I've had some really interesting suggestions for what to do about it, but I haven't done those yet. But I think we can't do it tonight. I'm not asking that. But somehow with codes or whatever, I think we need to be aware of this is coming and it's going to be an issue. We don't live in the city. We're out in the country. We don't want street lights all over. So nothing we can do about it tonight, nothing at all. I'm just saying this is going to become an issue. And if more people over in that direction move in and put up more big lights, it's going to be a big issue.
Well, Brian, the overlay district doesn't just cover commercial, it's residential as well. So once that's intact, and even now, you have to get a permit to put up a light pole, right? So they pulled that permit from somebody, or did they do the work themselves?
We're not sure yet, Mr. Mayor. We have to identify exactly where it's coming from. That is an area that has a substantial number of enclave residences, so we don't know if it's us or the county yet. I don't believe it was, I think just based on talking with Ms. Woodcock, it's probably one of those enclaves. They would have had to have been permitted through the county, or they put it up on there without a permit. As she pointed out, right now our code does say that you can't shine directly, but it doesn't address the halo effect or whatever you want to call it that lights up the whole area. The overlay district addresses that, but the overlay district is limited in depth on each side of the district or of the corridor, and so from what she's described, they're pretty substantially off of that, so it wouldn't necessarily cover them. We would need to look at something that would cover a broader area, the whole, city area perhaps.
Well, they've added another one now. So they're perfectly safe. Not one armadillo's going to get them.
A lot of community. We don't have it right now in our code, but a lot of communities limit the total luminosity on the per area of land. And so that's something that we can definitely look at is imposing or proposing a limit on the total luminosity, which would then tend to lower any of the escaping light, so to speak. But again, if it's outside of our jurisdiction, then that would be another thing we'd have to address with the county. The county may already have something in place we're just not aware of yet, but when we pinpoint exactly where it's coming from, then we can address it or we can talk with the county folks about.
Well, Clay Electric has a line that runs east and west there. It's a power line, and they keep it trimmed and cut. It goes behind my house, but on the south side of my house. But they assured me that that is not their pole. It is not their light. They had nothing to do with that going up. It's not.
Right.
And you know Betty Wood? You know where she lives? Hunt's Grave. It shines in her house.
Field trip. Go knock on door, talk. Neighbor.
It's not going to happen. We have names and phone numbers, and we dealt with it.
All right.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
But I just want it to be out.
Oh, you're good. Thank you for sharing. Hopefully it gets worked out somewhere in there. Whether it's the suggested way
Or a BB gun.
or a suggested
It
way.
took bigger- more than a BB gun to get that one.
Ms. Polo, do you have anything to comment? All right. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the city for putting on Westfest. Thank you for great time, great headliners, great food. My daughter definitely loved the kids section, and we're looking forward to the Watermelon Festival coming up.
Too, so are we.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comment?
Yep, you reminded everybody about the Watermelon Festival. That was the only thing I was gonna say. Good job.
Date?
May 21st.
May 21st.
You're gonna-
Parade to begin at 9:30 in the morning? 10
The
o'clock in the
oh,
morning.
my goodness
10 o'clock in
gracious,
the
I
morning.
was told to,
Well, we're
are we
covering
still
you. We
public,
got you.
public?
We
We have
already
yeah.
said the Watermelon Festival. We said the
10
parade.
a.m. parade, line
All
up at
right,
9:30.
line up at 9:30, no
Speed
cost.
sitting contest at
Speed sitting? What?
seed spitting.
spitting.
I was like, what?
But are you gonna help with the auction still?
I thought we already had the auction.
No, well, we did that one, but we ought to do
We
one
got another
there.
We're doing more.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it won't be as big
Then, yeah, yes.
or as much fun.
Donald Long and I want to go ahead and be judges at the golf cart.
All right. So golf cart, bring your golf carts, bring your candy.
Yep.
Throw it way away from the floats to the people, to the kids.
To the people.
Yep, and then head right out to
And
the.
don't let me or any of the organizers of the parade know.
We don't know what you're
I
talking
don't
about.
want you to ask me that question. I
There
don't
you
want to know
go.
anything about your candy.
That's
All right.
it for me, Mr. Chair.
Anything from the city
But
staff?
also, because one of our deputies is here, or our whatever, I don't know if he's a deputy anymore. I mean,
He's
he's
a
like some
lieutenant.
kind of major or general or colonel or something. I don't know what he is.
Lieutenant Capitan.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that promotion.
Yeah.
Yes, he's not happy about that. Hey, I do want to say, and if you would share that information, that the sheriff's department certainly does a good job helping with the parade and
Yes.
anything and everything. That's makes you know whose job a lot easier. So, thank you.
All right. With that being said, meeting's adjourned.
And whoever brought this water, thank you.